I said, Corey, oh no, I don't know what the numbers are gonna be with just 2 guys half the year. I said, but I see the bank account. Now's the time to get the software. And we did it. And then this year, we went into January with 120 grand in the bank. And the previous year, we had $20,000 barely scraping by.
So basically your $5,000 investment roughly a year into the software gave you a 20x return.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Could never have imagined that.
Yeah.
And you guys are the definition, literally, of our mantra of thrive, not survive. It's like that the total 180 from living under duress and stress and barely surviving, or at least feeling that way, to like thriving, you know?
We were barely surviving. I
Yes.
almost ended the job.
Welcome back to another episode of the Cost of Doing Business show. Today I'm with Corey and Collin. They're so identical, sorry guys. If you're on the video, you would understand. Yeah, right, get me calling you the wrong names. Yep. You will get me. But we're here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Lawn and Order Landscapes.
Yes, sir.
And I was actually out here at an open house at JT Landscape. Teco was putting it on. And I was beside a guy that knew Corey, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and ref hockey together. And I was just talking to this Michael guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, hey, I know a landscaper. Here, let me text him, see if he knows about you guys." And he's like, he texted you, and he told me, "Yeah, he said he's doing estimates all day. Let me ask him what he's using." And then he asked you, and you were like, "Oh yeah, well I'm doing SynkedUP." And I was like, "Well, who is it?"
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, "Oh, well, I know those guys." You know, sure enough. So anyway,
Small world.
Yeah, exactly. And lucky enough, on my way out this morning at 4:30 in the morning, I was like, you know what? You never know what'll happen. I just grabbed my podcast box and I grabbed one of those Good News pottery mugs, and I just had it in the back seat. So I was just like impromptu to texted you and see if we can, see if we can get together on a podcast. So here we are.
Here we are, meant to be, huh? Meant to
be. Well, thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me here at your place. And
thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
We're having us.
Absolutely.
I only tried a month ago.
Yeah, right. We met at the Unilock event. And
I came in with a purpose to get on a podcast, and you didn't have me on until now. Took a month, but
yeah. Well, sometimes it's the stars just have to align to make it happen.
That's it.
But
Time for everything.
I'm really looking forward to hearing you guys' story because we talked there at Unilock a bit, and I remember when you guys signed up, and I know it's been we were talking a little bit offline before we started recording about how like. When you met us at HNA, you were like, dude, like, no, we're on Yard Book for free. You know, we can't beat free. So I want to hear more about that story for sure. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, give us an intro. Introduce yourself for the audience that's listening, yourselves individually, as well as how you got started in the business and what the business looks like.
I'm not going to talk over you, so you take the floor.
I'm Corey with Lawn and Order Landscapes. I started the business in 2020. It was a great time. Well, scary time, to sit here and jump on your own, with the pandemic. But honestly, it was the best time to do it, as I feel like most contractors would agree.
The demand was there.
Yeah, the demand was there, I did great for myself being alone. And it became apparent to me that the stress, being by yourself and you can only do so much as one person. So he was driving trucks. He did a venture with that, and it wasn't going very good. So I said, hey, I got an opportunity. You want to buy in? I need some help. We've been doing this since we were teenagers. I just started doing it full time though in 2020. He came aboard on 2021, the following year, and we've been together ever since, and just trying to really kind of fine tune the business and learn about business.
Awesome.
Yep, and my name is Collin Schindler, and like he stated, just needed a change out of the trucking industry. Still miss it every day.
Sure.
Jelly of Tussin or big old tri-axle, but
it's not quite like one of those big old turbos screaming.
Yeah. And Jake brakes, it gets me going, baby.
You sound like Matt.
Dude, it's my passion. I told him, I said, we're going to build this. We're going to get a tri-axle, and I'm just going to drive the tri-axle.
Dude,
and
hey,
you can do
I'm telling you, this is why landscapers get into business, so they can drive big stuff.
That's big equipment. That's it. So, I'm here. I'm along for the journey with them. We've been progressively increasing revenue every single year. Even not knowing our numbers, we were increasing to about what we should have been until we really got synced up, and then it just sky's the limit. I had all the faith in the world that this was going to help us tremendously. He was a little bit more hard-headed than me. He did not. He's the one that was saying, we got free yard books and we haven't tapped into it yet. Okay, there's a lot to be, and I'm like, I don't want to hear about that. Okay, I seen this and what this can do. So, you know,
Tell me that story. How you came across like what you were saying about the Tussie YouTube channel and stuff. Like, how did you learn about SynkedUP?
I honestly learned about SynkedUP was at the Equip Expo.
Oh,
when we went there.
that's where you found out about it. Got it. Yep.
Yeah, when we started diving into, I told him that he needs to start doing retaining walls, and that was his first year, I think, when he was by himself. I'm like, listen, if you want to make some money, you got to get into retaining walls. You can't just cut grass. And, you know, the more I learn, I know that that's not true, you know, but he did it, and, you know, fear was getting the best of him. I said, you just got to do it. Get out there, do your first one. Built the wall totally wrong, put the pins in the wrong holes. The wall looks straight. Up, you know, the front of the face looks straight, but if you look down the wall, I'm like, Corey, that wall is just snaking down. I was like, you can't leave that like that. So he went online and started doing some research how to do some things in retaining walls, and he straightened the wall back out, had to remove the whole thing. And then we started diving into Tussie and seeing you doing a retaining wall build, and just ever since then, we've been just trying to constantly learn every single day, every single thing we could learn about hardscapes. And yeah, that was a few years ago. And then we end up going down to the Equip Expo, and knowing your face, I was like, oh, there's Weston. What's this SynkedUP thing? You know, I was like, Corey, let's go check it out. So we walked over, and, you know, I was a little nervous to meet you, you know. YouTube figure. YouTube figure. I was like, Collin, he puts his pants on just like you walk up to him. So I walked up to you, I shook your hand, and we talked a little bit. And then, yeah, he was like, no, I still think that we just stick with the yard books. I'm like, okay. I was like, they've been in this a lot longer than us. I said, they know what they're doing. I said, we have figured out our numbers on Excel sheet, and I think we are on to something. I think that we know we're recovering everything that we need to recover. I said, but I want to know from somebody that's been in business for a fact that we are recovering everything we need to recover. We went the whole next year just doing our Excel sheet, the yard books and stuff like that. And then finally, Gene called me randomly in the wintertime and was like, hey, so I know you talked to Weston down there a year ago. You still on the fence about it? And I was like, yeah, I really wasn't even going to do it. I ain't going to lie. Like, we were going to do it eventually, but not right then and there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then he was like, what is holding you back? And I was like, well, I mean, it is.
Go ahead, say it. My brother.
Yeah, I was like, well, my brother's not totally on board, and he's the one that started this. I don't want to step on his toes. I said, I'm sold, Gene. I said, I just got to convince my brother. I said, he doesn't know that he wants to spend $500 or whatever it is on the software. And then Gene came back and said the greatest thing ever. He said, do you think that you're losing more than $500 a month in estimates? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. So when I relayed that message to him, he was like, yeah, that actually really resonates with me. I'm like, Corey, let's just try it out. You know, there's no commitment to anything.
Right.
Try it out. If it's not working.
That's the cool thing about monthly software.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's figure it out. I said, but we're going to go into this year and we're going to know that we're charging what we need to charge, whether we lose customers or not, whatever. I said, I'd rather work less and make more or the same amount. You know what I mean? So talked them, got them on board, and it's been phenomenal. I don't want to steal the show here and be the star here, so.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like that was really interesting, by the way. Thanks for taking me down that thought process. So I'm assuming you were the one that found, or you walked up to us at HNA, right? Yeah. So tell me like your narrative, like the path your brain was taking.
So that's why I had to come, so he wouldn't try to tarnish my name, you know?
Yeah.
And take all the credit.
That's what happens when you get brothers on
Told him I was going to run his face in the dirt.
That's it.
He's never going to live this down.
But no, I mean, he came up to me, and neither of us really knowing too much about business, you know. We financially, it's just like you're going paycheck to paycheck, and I'm thinking to myself, like most contractors that are hesitant, is, can we afford this? Like, you know, we can barely pay the bills or whatever, you know, which is...
I mean, that's the reality that is, I get it.
So I'm like, I wanted to do it. In the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, you should do this. This is a good thing. But, you know, I'm like, what if it doesn't work and now you're in a hole? But like he said, he's like, there's no contract or anything like that. I'm like, all right, and then, I put your prices in and seen the man-hour rate and then what we were charging. And I'm like, it was scary because I'm like, okay, so this is really what we should be charging. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to sell that. I feel like we were having trouble selling it before, but I was like, but it also tells me that, you could lose money sitting on a couch. So if you ain't going to get the kind of money that you need, then there's no reason being in business. So I was like, you know what? Let's just take a chance and let's see how it goes for a year. So we took a chance, and I mean, like he said, it's been great. It's exceeded our expectations. I mean, we still can't believe what we did with 4 guys half the year and 2 guys for the second half of the year because we couldn't find help. So, I know some people say that, I might be too small. I really don't think so.
For the software, you mean?
software,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I hear that all the time.
Anyone could benefit.
I've heard
from
20-man operations tell me like, oh, that's for bigger people than us. I'm like, oh my.
We're proof that, even 2 guys, it worked out.
Even one, like we have a
Even
lot of
one guy.
one-man shows using it. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm thankful he kind of beat it in my head, and we took the chance because it's been great.
So I want to pull on one thing that you mentioned, which I commend you for, which is saying let's take a year and give it a shot. And I'm curious, was there ever a moment a few weeks in, a few months in, where you were tempted to pull the parachute on that 1-year trial?
No.
It was a little scary there. I don't think we ever thought about pulling the plug.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, the first, month, 2 months, it was just like, no. And we're getting declined. And I'm like, man, this is getting scary. But you know what? It's going to work out. It's going to work out. It got down to the point where we have 2 guys, and I'm like, well, we got to find work next week. We ain't got nothing lined up, And
Wow.
it was scary. But you know what? The Lord prevailed, and He just blessed us with work. And you know what? Losing those guys ended up being good because the call volume did kind of fall off a little bit, and losing those guys and not being able to get anybody else. Number one, we got to keep more of the money in our pocket, and we finished out the year. We worked literally on our biggest retaining wall job to date with steps and this and that, and he's got us coming back this year. And I think it ended up being like an $80,000 project, but it was time materials, and he's just like, just show up whenever you want. And we went over there and we just worked all the way through like the second week of January. We finally pulled our machine out.
Wow.
And it all worked out fantastic. And our QuickBooks was a little bit in shambles from all year, just, busting tail. I did not touch it. I had no idea what I was doing with it, and things got hairy and duplicated. And I was looking at the revenue number, and I'm like, if we did that, that's pretty awesome. But I don't believe that for a minute. And then we ended up trying to figure it out ourselves. Wasn't happening. It was so messed up. And then we hired a bookkeeper to come in and do our books and clean it up.
Yep.
So she cleaned it up. And
I think every business owner, I don't care if you filed your LLC yesterday, needs a bookkeeper. At least a bookkeeper they can call when they have a question.
Yes.
Fine if you want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But like this thing of, I hear this all the time. Oh, I don't need QuickBooks. Oh, I don't need accounting. Oh yeah, I give my shoebox full of receipts and my bank statements to my accountant at the end of the year. I'm like, dude, you cannot run a business that way.
No.
That's suicide.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
No, I mean, I was like to Corey, I was like, man, we were wasting our whole winter here trying to figure out our QuickBooks and get it in order. I said, we gotta hire somebody to do this, to clean it up. Plus, I want to know what I actually did. You know?
Exactly. You got to know.
Like if I do it and I fix it, I'm not a bookkeeper. I can't trust myself. But now I said, Corey, oh no, I don't know what the numbers are going to be with just 2 guys half the year. I said, but I see the bank account, and we're going into the winter time with $100,000 more in the bank than we did the previous year. Like literally going into the last winter, I literally was like, Corey, I think we're going to have to get jobs through the winter because we don't plow. So it was really scary. And once again,
You mean the prior year?
the prior year before SynkedUP, another reason why we decided to do it. And, I was like, we're going to have to get a job. And then the Lord gave us a few fence jobs just to push us through. And I was like, now's the time to get the software. And we did it. And then this year we looked back and I said, we went into January with 120 grand in the bank, and the previous year we had $20,000 barely scraping by.
So basically your $5,000 investment roughly a year into the software gave you a 20x return.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Could never
You could,
have imagined that.
even
That's
a-
why
even,
we
even a Wall Street investor can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we had to figure out with the bookkeeper. I was like, our number isn't right. I need to know for sure. And I said, it obviously did great. I mean, the bank looks good. But, I was like, I really want to know. I mean,
Yeah, well, something I again commend you again is like, you're looking at the cash in the bank, but QuickBooks isn't right. It's way too many people operate their business using their cash amount in the bank account as a barometer for how well they're doing or not.
Yeah.
And that is risky because well, because by the time you have trouble there, you are months downstream from the root cause.
Yeah. Right.
And it's really hard to react to that. And because then the $1 million question is, well, why?
Right.
Like, what happened? What do I need to change? And then, well, you don't know, so you just arbitrarily kind of raise your prices slightly. And where usually what actually is happening is, well, maybe one line of service you're consistently underbidding, not putting enough labor in, but other things are really profitable. So it's just like, but then you are blanket raise prices across the whole, and it doesn't raise it enough for the things that are losing, and raises it more than you need for the things that you actually are profitable on,
Right.
And so it's this like shoot from the hip type thing when you run your business from using your bank account as a barometer for how well you're doing or not.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But one of the things I want to hear, kind of the emotions you were feeling or the thought process you were going down over, is like, it sounds to me like you were spending money in the winter that you probably didn't really have to sign up for the software. Like you bought SynkedUP in the winter, you had $20,000 in the bank, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So tell me about that. Like, how do you get to the point where you feel like you're spending your money that's supposed to go to the mortgage on?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was it. I was like, well, maybe we got to wait till April when some money starts rolling in. But then I'm thinking to myself, a wise man, I guess, at a casino, if you ever found one there, said, scared money don't make money. And, that really resonated with me. I'm like, you know what? You got to take risks. You got to spend money to make money. I was like, let's take a chance. I was like, because now's the time to learn it, implement it, so that way we go into spring being even better. And I was like, we just got to take a chance. Like I said, looking back, yeah, it was real scary, I'm like, we're fingers crossed. Hey, let's hope we get, a mild winter. Because like I said, we were just doing residential snow.
Yeah.
And we haven't had much snow, so it's a lot to invest in that. So not only that, we don't like snow. So we never won for greed. It was, if we can make enough money and then go into winter and not have to worry about it, we're happy with that. And that's kind of how this year felt, We rolled into the winter and we could breathe a little sigh of relief that, hey, we're going to be able to get through, invest in a business, and then still come out on top and be ahead of the game rolling into this year. So,
Dude, and I can say this from experience, like the pressure that gets relieved off of your mental bandwidth, let's say, of when you're not focusing on making payroll or covering the bills for next week or next month, and instead the paycheck to paycheck type style of living is no longer needed.
Yep.
Your brain can flip from reactionary thinking to strategic thinking.
Yeah.
And now you're thinking like, okay, what's the smartest way for me to invest? What's the smartest way for me to grow? What's the next thing I should buy? What's the next thing, and like the power from just flipping the script, so to speak, from reactionary to strategical is like, you feel like you're in control.
yeah.
Yeah.
And instead of feeling like you're at the mercy of whatever, or that client said no to that quote, so now I'm like screwed,
Yeah. Well, that kind of comes back to, about that a little bit more is, between us, that year where we were struggling, we rolled into that season, the beginning of the season, and I was on him because I'm in charge of payroll, and I was like, we don't have enough money in the bank. You got to finish this job so we can, that was also part of the cash flow problems, but still, we just weren't charging enough, And once we got the software, I went back and reviewed some of those jobs, and it was more eye-opening than seeing the hourly rate. You know, when you see that those jobs you did, that you lost 30%, when you thought you were making money, you know, you want to talk about a slow death, you know.
Right. That is a long,
And
slow,
slow
painful death.
So that was all eye-opening, and that's the greatest thing about it is, as many people have said, when we send an estimate, we know that's what we can do it for. There's no wiggle room unless they change the scope of work or take down plants. You know, I used to be scared to even recover overhead on materials, or you know.
Yeah, we would never even. It's like, should we upcharge the materials 10%? No, that's going to send it to the roof. We ain't doing that.
Yep.
You know, but now with the software, it's like, it is what it is. Like,
It is,
I
you're
need
right.
to
You
know.
get to the point where you're like, just it is what it is. If you don't like it, well then, I make more money sitting at on my, or I'd rather go to take my kids to the lake for free than work for you for free.
Exactly.
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 Fund somebody else's job like we're a bank, you know.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it definitely it just brings a lot of confidence. So.
It does.
What was the moment that you knew? Because okay, so what was the moment when you felt when you switched from like, this is a risk, let's try it. I'm feeling trepidation. I'm like, what was the moment you were like, oh my goodness, like, dude, yeah, I can't go another day without this product in my business.
Honestly, I think it was shortly after we like a month after, to be honest with you. It was pretty quick. I mean, once we set it up and you got all these materials and you start setting up templates and you just see how easy and quick it is to send out estimates where you're spending hours and now you're done in a couple minutes, you know, it's just, man, that's worth it in itself, you know? So you got to think about all the time you're getting back with your family is just that. I mean, we still need to have more time for our family, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'd be wasting even more time. So
Yeah, I mean-
it was shortly after we just realized the capability, and like once we figure this out, this is going to help us tremendously. And I mean, there was no looking back pretty much once the season started rolling.
No.
So
Yeah, we started once, like I said, we had that little struggle there, a little hiccup, where a lot of people, they do that in the beginning. I just feel like looking back now, it's more price shopping. You know, it's a tough market, especially whenever you want to charge a consultation fee, but nobody does around here, and you're fighting for work and you're getting no's, so you're just going out there doing everything as you possibly can, you know, so you're not really weaning people out. We have dialed our pre-qualification process now to help with that. So looking back now, a lot of the no's, I don't think necessarily were because of the software. I think they're just shopping, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how did you deal with that?
Totally different.
How did you deal with that when you because I mean, I don't know if you're in the users group, right, on Facebook. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that post where somebody was like feeling like dejected.
yeah.
Because the software basically told him, dude, you got to raise your rates, and now it's like, well, now I can't sell any work, or at least that's what he believes.
Right.
How did you guys process through that? Like,
Funny story for you. So we have a customer of ours, and we had given her a quote on a fence, a chain link fence, for the software.
okay,
And basically, we told her we were going to do the whole fence for a certain amount of price. Well, then we came back the following year with SynkedUP, and we looked at the numbers, and we said we're going to do half the fence for the same price as the whole fence. And she said, you guys are going to lose a lot of work because of this new software. And we
really?
That's what she said.
Because you guys told her about this.
I said, look, I got a new software, and, you know, we realized that we weren't charging enough last year. I apologize. You know, we really want to do business
Yeah, how do you
with
come back the following year and pretty much double your price,
Right,
you know?
right, yeah.
Giving you half the fence for the same
Sure,
amount of price.
sure.
So I was trying to justify, hey, I'm learning business every single year, and I'm trying to, you know, as I learn my numbers, you know, this is where I got to be, and I can't budge on it, as we talked about the scope of work, you know? And she said that. She said, you know, you guys are going to lose a lot of business because of this. And what does she do a month and a half later? She comes back and approves it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I get more work from her son, dethatch her yard, make money off that. Then her son recommends us and gives us a huge fence job out in Pittsburgh that we crushed it on. I mean,
Yeah.
40% net profit.
Yeah, 40%
And, I mean,
net
we
profit,
killed
yeah.
it. And I'm just like, so we're going to lose customers again? How? No, we just literally.
So what do you think happened to her, like in her thought process?
I think it came down to we are reliable and
Yeah.
the comfortability. And, you know, there's people out there that are willing to pay for it. It just, you got to show like your worth, and she's seen that we've constantly done work for her in that, okay, yeah, we're higher, but we're justifying why we're higher.
Yeah.
And we pulled through again, and then we pulled through for her son's friend. I mean, he literally wasn't even shopping. He just basically had to think about it and
Called me?
Yep, called me and said, heard great things about you, and I kind of told him, hey, we're not even really close to you, to be honest with you. He's a little further away. I was like, but we'll travel, but you just got to know that we will be slightly higher, and that's just what it comes down to is having a solid reputation, I guess, and you can sell that work.
Which your story right there is a perfect example of how people buy based on emotion, and right. What I mean is trust and confidence and credibility, and we like, I don't know, like our logical brain wants to go to like, well, they didn't go with me because there was another quote that was cheaper, and maybe sometimes that's true. Yeah. There are times when that's true, but then if that were the case, then Ferrari could never sell a car.
Yes.
Say
that to each other all the time.
Yeah. So it's not all about price. And which actually the whole Ferrari comment kind of segues into another thing I was going to say about this, is that sometimes what you discover is you've been working for a cheap client base. Right. That your business is growing and you're providing a quality service. Mm-hmm. And really the kind of people that buy those quality services are now different than the people that you used to sell to. Correct. And so sometimes the discovery process is like, oh, my target market is changing because my services are changing. Right. And my client experience and everything else behind my business is changing. Mm-hmm. And so it comes back to just the ethics of business. Like, just be trustworthy, do what, say what you're going to do and do what you said you're going to do, and communicate well, give an amazing client experience, and you will win. You will have more business than you know what to do with. Yep. As opposed to feeling the pressure, well, like I lost the job again, so it must be because I'm more expensive than the other guy. So the only solution I can come up with is to lower my prices. And it's back to repeating the same thing we said a few minutes ago. It's a long, slow, painful death. Yeah. Because you cannot be the cheapest guy and make a profit, because there's always someone out there that hasn't yet lived through the pain, and they're underselling themselves. Yep. And so trying to win based on being the cost effective, it's just not worth it.
It is not. It's not what we get in business. And I don't think so.
And so one of the things I like to kind of paint the picture of is like, well, hey, instead of focusing on how can I be $10 cheaper, focus on quote turnaround time. Mm-hmm. Focus on communicating well. When you say you're going to be there at 10 a.m., be there 9:55, not 10:15. Mm-hmm. Focus on that stuff, and quote turnaround time is huge, by the way. You will win more jobs by turning a quote around like that than being the cheapest ever will. Because I talk to people all the time, they're like, they told me before I even got out there that I'm getting other quotes.
Right, yep.
And they maybe even told me from who, and I know that I'm not going to be any cheaper than the other person, but I come out there and I give them a quote before I leave the driveway, and they sign on the spot. Yeah. It's like that, they didn't even get, the other guy didn't even have time, didn't even get the quote back yet, but they signed with me. Yep. And that's where I believe that you should spend your energy on those kinds of things, because energy spent, I'm not saying don't be frugal. Yes, always be frugal, always be shrewd, always be looking where you can be more efficient. 100%, yes. Mm-hmm. But energy spent on trying to shave 2 cents off your price is wasted. It's just wasted. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, you got to sell yourself to be more valuable. Yeah. All in all, don't try to be the cheapest person. Just go out there and show the value. You do the Ferrari, I kind of go to the old, the Hilton experience and a Red Roof Inn, We're not trying to give you the Red Roof Inn experience. We're trying to be the Hilton
That isn't
here.
even an experience. That's
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's just a roof over your head.
Exactly. So, that's what, you choose what you want. And just because you may think we're too expensive, Doesn't
Well,
mean we're
and you
too
know what?
expensive.
Maybe you're
We're
right.
just- yeah.
Maybe we're too expensive for you.
You just can't afford it.
I wish you the best. Here's another guy you can call.
That's it. That's what we do now.
Yeah.
We have recommendations for people
Yeah.
as we do the pre-qualification process.
Yeah,
And
the pre-qualification is huge because if you are not pre-qualifying, then you are going to spend time and energy doing quotes for people that will never be your customer, whether they knew it or not, whether the customer knew it or not, because you always have the customer that has a whole Pinterest board of $200,000 projects and they have a $20,000 budget and they have no idea.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's just that, because that's normal. You'll never get away from that.
Right.
It's just that your pre-qualification process should position you as the subject matter expert or the industry expert that gently and kindly and professionally educates the customer as to what things cost.
Yes, yes. I actually just had this talk with a customer yesterday, and it's easy to sometimes just say, I'll just go out and see him. I mean, she was 5 minutes down the road.
Right.
Talking about how she just got this pool put in, an above ground pool or something, and she wanted some ideas about maybe needing a small wall because there's a drop off leading to the pool, or what we could do in reseeding and stuff like that. And she kept interrupting and saying, when you get out here, and I'm like, no, let's just pump the brakes here. Let's give me some information here. We're going to do a preliminary assessment, kind of just talk about it and see what your solutions are and see what you guys kind of want to invest in this. So I called her back, and good thing I did, because we weren't on the same page. I gave her some cheap options, but it was just like, well, I spent all my money on the pool. I don't really have much. And I'm like, I'm sorry the pool guy got all the money, and that's how I feel like the industry. We need to just bring it up because everyone else is getting the money, and then the landscaper comes in, and since the pool guy got it, we're supposed to, give discounts. But more of the story is, if I wanted to kind of educated her, and she was thankful because she said, you've given me a lot of good ideas and stuff like that. And that's what I told her. I said, I'm not here to sell you anything. Just educate you on what stuff costs, what options you have, and that's a win for me as long as she comes away with a positive conversation, because she might not use me right now, but she might in the future.
What you did is you established trust and credibility.
Correct.
And you also structured it in such a way that you're letting her buy. You're not trying to sell to her. Right. And there's a subtle difference, but it's a huge psychological difference. Mm-hmm. Clients should buy from you, not be sold to.
Right, exactly.
And it just comes across in little things, like in the sales pipeline or the sales process of and one of the things Tusky Landscaping did was defined availability. Like, we do consultations Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. And the next one's next Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, I'm at work. And can you do someone after 5? Like, no.
Yeah.
If you want it bad enough,
You're gonna make the time.
Yeah, exactly. And what it does, sales is so fascinating, because what it does is it raises your status. It's not like, instead of me like, yeah, I'm so excited about your, like, when are you available? And I come out at 8 p.m. on a Friday night, right?
Yeah.
As opposed, it's like, no, I'm the expert here. You need me. I don't need you.
Yeah.
I have a service or a product that you want. You are buying from me. I'm not selling to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a different sale. I love Jeremy Miner's a guy I follow on Instagram. Yeah. He talks about this sales stuff all the time. It's just
bringing back flashbacks of Friday nights going out there. I actually did that nightlight. It was not too long ago, a couple months ago. Guys like, yeah, I can only meet at 7 o'clock. He's like, I got a light in the back porch. And I go outside, and he has a flashlight, and he's trying to show me a fence job, and I'm like, I got to really start dictating the terms here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But hey, lesson learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could honestly go on and on about even just how great the software has been to us. And just another testimony of it is, going into this year, a buddy of mine needed help plowing, and I was like, yeah, I'll help you plow. It'll teach me, how to plow. Never did it in my life. So I went out there, did that, but I was like, it's going to be on my terms, even though I'm too nice. And I ended up being his full-time guy, but we didn't get that much snow. So not a huge deal, but I was like, I don't need this job this winter.
Right.
I got money. And so, like you said, the stress of it, going into the winter, we did not have to worry, and we were able to do so much, and it happened at the perfect time because we went all year with very minimal truck maintenance. Well, guess what happens now leading into springtime? Those trucks didn't break then. Thank you, Lord. But they broke now, and they're going to cost us a lot of money, and we're not even sweating it. You know, we got the money. Like, if that would have happened the year before with 20,000 in the bank, I don't know what would happen, you know?
We'd probably be out of business.
There's just, it's like blessing after blessing, like how everything has been happening is just incredible.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you guys are the definition, literally, of our mantra of thrive, not survive. You know, it's like that the total 180 from living under duress and stress and barely surviving, or at least feeling that way, to like thriving. You know,
We were barely surviving. I almost ended the job.
I'm enjoying this conversation so much, and like this is what, speaking for myself, what I live for, and I know speaking for the whole SynkedUP team, what we live for, is this thing of like, instead of saying, "Oh, way to put us out of business," being like, "Yeah, it's fine. Well, it's in our budget, and it's planned for, and it's like we're strategic, not reactive." You know.
That's it. If it's in the budget, you're not worried about it.
Yeah.
You know, you're pretty much planning for it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I
And you should always budget worst case scenario, because the last thing you want to have happen is worst case scenario happen, and then what was supposed to be your profit goes to pay for those things.
Right, exactly.
We kind of set up like multiple budgets. This is like where we want to be at in the future and where we want to sell our work.
I love
and
that.
then we have another budget if things get tight, and we're like
A
okay,
worst case scenario.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this is bottom dollar.
This is bottom dollar.
Because now
just-
you know, like, I love that, because like I always tell people, like, build your wish list budget. Like, if you want a tilt rotator, put it in and see if you can still sell the work, right? But then if it's like, okay, let's say, because business ebbs and flows, let's say things do get tight. Well, to your point, I love this concept of building a budget where I strip out every expense that I can strip out. And now I know my true bottom. Like, I literally can't start the truck for less than this.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
that's so empowering to know. You know, it's like,
yeah.
it's like you're not second guessing yourself all the time.
Yeah, and the scary thing is that's where we were before this. That's where we ran our businesses, from that bottom dollar all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't know what you don't know, and that's why I said to Corey, I said, we got to talk to you, and we got to look into this. And you know, it's just so. It is easy. I mean, it's an easy software to navigate, and I mean, we still got so much to learn and do, but. Being a 2-guy show, and you know, we hired a few more guys here this year, so that'll help out. We haven't really been able to fully use the templates like we want. We're just started diving in this winter, but we did a lot of just business learning and stuff like that. So, but we got a lot to learn, and I think, you know, now that we're hiring these guys, it's really gonna push us to the next level this year.
Yeah.
Because we do kind of. This software really speeds things up because it is easy, but me and him second guess ourselves a lot because we're still trying to figure out production rates, you know, and we're trying to be competitive, you know what I mean? But we are higher, and we second guess ourselves a lot on these estimates. So they definitely could be done a lot faster as we continue to learn, you know? So as we hire these guys, continue to get these templates out, really build them and come up with a process, like you said, we're just going to go out to the job. We're going to sit in the truck. And we're gonna send that estimate right then and there, and hopefully get signed on the dotted line.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, and the thing to remember is like, the realm of our consciousness is always ahead of where we're at. Right. What I mean is, like, before, your realm of your consciousness was like maybe at cash flow or you know, and like fixing that.
Yeah.
Now it's like, now you're in the production rates and feeling, well, I'm not adequate yet, or I haven't arrived yet.
Yep.
You know, but your consciousness is always ahead of where you're at in reality.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's important to not. It's important to be hungry and always be pushing 1% better every day. But it's also important to not let that. Not let that make it feel like you are failing, because you're not. Like I said, your consciousness is always ahead of your reality, and so it's not failing. It's normal to always be like, well, this is the next thing I'm driving forward. I haven't quite figured it out yet, and all of that. And in implementing the software from A to Z, or getting a good sales process from A to Z, or having a job closeout process, or getting good books in order that are accurate in real time. Like, all of those things require processes, and it's like climbing a ladder. You're climbing one rung at a time. And if you try to solve all the world's problems at once, like climb 10 rungs at once, like you'll probably fall.
Right.
Or be discouraged, or not do any of them well. But if you can climb one rung a day, or one rung a month, whatever analogy you want to use, and the whole analogy of 1% better every day compounds incredibly. And if you live life with that mentality and show up every day with that outlook, that will take you much further than the temptation of like, oh my goodness, like I it's so overwhelming. I can't do this. Like, let me just pull the plug.
Well, that's kind of where we were. We were losing interest and stuff like that. You know? And then you just get run down, and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then now, I mean, we just really started to feel our passion and stuff.
Yeah, should we keep the testimonies going here? I mean, whenever you get that kind of money, it allows you to do what you said at the beginning is delegate.
Yeah.
I have delegated a lot of stuff. Two-man company. I have delegated all my social media to my marketing guy. We have said that we're going to invest a certain percentage this year, and I'm like, I got the money now. I'm not good at it. I would sit there at night and ask my wife to read my stuff because I'm not good with my words, and I don't attract people. He's good at it. I'm gonna pay him now. I got the money to do it. Okay, going back to tough times. It's just losing your motivation. Me and Corey thought about literally getting into a food truck or something. We were thinking of something, anything. We're like, man, we have no drive. And I said to Corey, I said, we got the money now. I said, time to get a business mentor, and let's go see if they can help us. Give us that push, and it goes back into the networking too. You get that once a month networking peer group, and then one-on-ones with them. When you're feeling down, they're there to hold you accountable, because you can really lose yourself just running your own business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes struggle getting out of bed, but they're there to hold you accountable, keep pushing you forward, and that's what we needed, and we're like revived. We're feeling fantastic, and once again, it's just, I don't have to worry. We got money for the business mentor, bookkeepers, our trucks that are breaking, we got everything.
What's that go to show? When we said in the beginning here that, we barely even knew how to use it. We just did the basics.
Yes.
And, look what it did for us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can only imagine when we really dive into everything and how we can utilize it, that it's just going to be even better for us.
Yeah.
100%.
Can only go up.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's awesome. Hey, this is such an inspiring episode.
I'm making your head too big, am I?
No, you're just giving me meaning and our team meaning and finding purpose in our work. It's not about the buttons of the software. It's about changing lives and actually enabling. Because like stereotypically, landscapers are hardworking people. They are amazing artistic craftsmen. They love what they do, but so many of them have a hard time making a go of it. And the thing with business, like, have any of you ever read the E-Myth book?
No.
It was on my list to read.
It's on
but
your list?
Yeah,
Okay, it's a good one. And in that book, it talks about the technician that has the entrepreneurial seizure. It's like, oh, I can do the work. I'm the technician, so let me go into business. And then you end up realizing, well, doing the work is like 10% of what it takes to run a business, right?
Yeah.
And so he talks about systems and processes. It's a really good book, but the whole point of it is like, if you're going to be an owner operator in this industry, you're not really growing a sellable business. You're owning a job. And you have two options. Either you say, no, I'm going to be an owner operator and I'm okay with that, but then your business cranks cash to put into other assets, because you're not going to have much to sell when you're done. Some equipment, Yeah. And you have to crank cash out of the business to put into other assets, real estate, whatever, that gives you something to build, a net worth or an assets on. Or you truly do invest into building systems and processes to build a business that can literally run without you. That is a sellable business, And so you got those two paths, but too much of the time what ends up happening is you have an owner operator that is not building a sellable business. Everything is between his or her ears, and they work their butts off for 30 years and get to the end of their working career and have nothing to show for it. Maybe they paid off their house, they paid their groceries, lived a life, but there's nothing to show for it, and that's what we're on a mission to end. End that entrepreneurial poverty is what we call it.
Yeah. Well, we just need everyone to get synced up,
There
right?
we go.
And then we'll all be good. We'll lift up, everyone in
industry.
landscape. So
It'll just be, hey, who do you want to go with? We're all the same price, or a little
right.
close enough. You know what
Different
I mean?
overhead, yeah, exactly.
Different overhead, but be more comparable than a chuck in the truck.
Right.
yeah.
I don't know who says that. I can't quote that I can't remember who says that. But
Yeah, But
But-
even a chuck in a truck, I have not seen a budget, for anybody listening, I have not seen a budget for even a one-man show that's less than $65 an hour any long time. It's still profitable.
yeah.
I agree.
That's where we were at. We had 4 guys or whatever, 65. So, I mean, the more guys we've noticed,
possible.
it's better.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I mean?
possible. Yeah.
But we didn't, if we would lose guys,
if
we would
people-
never adjust
yeah.
our price. We'd stay at 65. So
Which is a
no-no.
That's another whole subject.
Exactly. So,
But if I talk to somebody, they're like, "Oh, I'm charging 50, 55," and I'm like, "You're not making money."
No.
Like, I know without even asking, you're not making money. Yeah.
I like the people that say, I'm charging just 2 times the cost of the materials. All right, see, I came up with that price just as quickly as you. He's like, and I'm the same price. I was like, that's the issue. You're the same price as me, and you have no idea. Your overhead's more than mine. You should be higher than me.
That's right.
But okay, keep going down the road you're going down.
Well, let's take it to the 3 questions I always like to ask on the podcast. What is the best advice? I'll let you each go. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Well, I stole my thunder earlier about the guy at the casino. I mean, that was the best.
That was good.
That was the best advice. I can't think of nothing else because that really propelled me to do this, which took us to the next level. And honestly, beyond that, now we're, not
The whole thing
scared.
about scared money doesn't make money.
Yeah, exactly. Just, you got to be willing to spend the money and just not live in your fears, and, it'll return. And that's the only way you're going to get there. So that was like the number one thing that I could think of, and that's why we're here today.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my advice, I know I'm going to blotch it because I think I just heard it today, to be honest with you. I've gotten so much advice just from learning from people to really pinpoint what really resonates. But one thing that resonated was something about the lines of fear, Don't let fear get in the way because regret is the weight of the regret is a lot worse, or something along those lines,
I know of I've heard of a similar line, like, I'd rather live with the pain of discipline than the pain of regret.
Something along those lines. Yeah. And I kind of, we're always fearful to take the next step, to get synced up, to get a business mentor, to do whatever. And, fear's just a killer. We all know what it stands for, false evidence appearing real. And we just got to keep telling ourselves that. And the worst thing I want to think about is looking back on my life going, what if I would have done this, and regretting? Because that is actually a lot worse if you think about it than just going through, living through the fear, because you're going to get through it regardless.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, you're going to get through it and you're going to move on. And we're going to learn from it.
Yeah, there's an aspect. There's an aspect of where living your fear. It kind of manifests itself in a way. Like, if you just react in fear, well, then you're kind of gonna get what.
That's it.
If you don't ever take the risk, if you don't ever take the leap,
Yep.
I mean, you can't get the benefit. Yeah, no risk, no reward.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what about and we may have already touched on it, I don't know, but what's the most difficult challenge you've ever overcome?
I would say just the mental aspect of being a business owner. That's like just the toughest thing we've had to overcome is getting out of our own head, and just, I think so many times, we just think like we're not good enough or something like that. And that's been our biggest struggle.
The head trash.
Is the head trash, So
Quoting
we've, but here we are. We're trying to have a better positive mindset, and everything's turning around. So that's been the hardest part, is getting out of our own way.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And now that we're starting to do that, we're starting to reap the benefits, like you said. So,
What about if you could go back to the day you filed your LLC? What is one thing you would do right then and there, that week, that month, whatever?
Definitely invest in SynkedUP, or some kind of software, just something that would definitely assure me that, I'm going out and I guess I know what I'm going to get, like I'm charging enough and I know I'm going to be successful, or it isn't worth it. I look back and just think about how much time I wasted, thinking that I was making money. And I commend the people who do it sooner, because, I can't imagine where we would be if we would have done something like this further along, or earlier, I should say. So,
I hear that so many times.
yeah.
I thought you were going to say get rid of your, what was it? The Equinox, or what were you pulling the trailer with?
Yeah, I probably would have got rid of my Equinox.
I thought you were going to say you should have got a truck instead of pulling the trailer around with an Equinox, and then you pulled that out of left field there.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the Equinox, but that was definitely good. I mean, I guess
That would have helped out a little bit, fortify, synced up.
Yeah. Good point.
Hey, dude, the beginnings are humble, man.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Hey, you got to start somewhere,
Yeah,
At least
that's
I was
right.
out there Equinox in a trailer,
At least
and I
you're
was
out there
trying.
working.
I was
Exactly.
trying. So
But it's not the guy that works the hardest that wins.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes hard work. You can't.
Absolutely.
It's a necessary ingredient, but it's not the indicator of success.
No, I mean, we've heard of plenty of people that just, they do the business. And if they're willing to take that risk and put all the right systems and processes in place, they could literally just run the business, hire the right people to do the job, and then they don't have to go out and get dirty, So it doesn't, I mean, it's still hard work, obviously, building
Sure,
that, but not
absolutely.
physically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the mindset. I've been thinking about this even myself more and more, just in running SynkedUP, because at the end of the day, I'm just a foreman from the hills of Pennsylvania that happens to now try to be running a software company, and it's just the aspect of, you have to be in the mindset of, I'm not the one doing the work, I'm the one building the systems and processes that produce the work, or produce the output. So you are master system and process engineer. That's what you are as a business owner. And if you view yourself as like, well, I'm the one doing the work, that is a possibility. I mean, look at a guy like Dan Preston, incredible artist. That is totally a path and a way to do it, but it comes back to, well, then that business is going to be cranking cash. Because you got basically be paying your living expenses for the time that you're working, plus building assets for retirement or whatever you want. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Well, I think with his work, he probably ain't going to have an issue. He can definitely charge a little bit higher and be okay,
more than he is.
Yeah. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, but no, man, this has been inspiring. Like, I'm jazzed.
Oh, I was geeked. I mean, he gave me the call that we were going to do this podcast, and my mind was like telling me no, but my body was telling me yes.
There we go.
Or no, vice versa. My mind was telling me yes. My body was telling me
like,
no. I was
yeah,
breaking sweats over here. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And then all of a sudden, I started, opening up. I mean, you're just so easy to talk to. And no, this was phenomenal. So glad to be here. I appreciate this opportunity. Like I said, I tried a month ago. You did not get the hint.
right.
Didn't get the hint, and I was winking at you, and you just were doing your thing.
Just tell me, man. I'm terrible reading the tea leaves.
It's more honorable if you come to me and you say, hey, I want you on a podcast.
Right.
Because I knew our story. I said, as soon as I seen that in the bank and the end of the year hit, I'm an open book. We didn't say it, but, to do $500,000 with two guys, half a year, I think that's pretty dang good.
It is.
And we only did one hardscape job. Other than that, it was fencing and landscape installs, which is in grass cutting, So to do that, I think that's
impressive.
yeah, I think that's pretty good. And we were happy. And I said, this is a story that needs to go on SynkedUP for sure, So this is awesome.
Well, thanks for sharing it. Thanks for sharing it, because there are way more stories like this out there in reality than are making it out onto our podcast and onto the social media. And obviously my goal is to discover them and unearth them and share them with the world. But I just want to commend you guys for being willing to share, because it's not easy to talk about where you the mistakes you made and like it's turning the tables on myself. Like it takes a degree of, I don't know, humility to do that. So thanks for just kind of bearing all, so to speak, and being willing to let other people peek into your story. Because, what would make this episode a success is if someone else listens to this and then takes action and benefits tremendously from your experiences. And I think that's, Dan Martell, the guy I follow, mentor of mine, he's always saying, like, you live through your worst experiences or your most difficult challenges to equip you to help others that also live it through those challenges. So thanks for playing that part today.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
We live for this stuff. Just like you're helping people, this is why we said, okay, we love to help people, if anybody ever wants to talk to us and hear our experiences, we're still learning every day, but we can absolutely network together.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So,
well, on that note, where can people reach you? Where can people find you?
lawnandorderlandscapes.com. We also got a Facebook, Lawn and Order Landscapes. We're on Instagram, lawn_order. And we also have a TikTok, Lawn and Order Landscapes.
just Lawn and Order Landscapes.
And that's lawn in order.
Yeah.
Like not lawn in.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
No and, IN. Yep.
Yep.
Because there is another one in North Hills. We do get, it's Lawn and Order, though.
Really?
And we get calls all the time, but apparently he doesn't like to answer his phone. So
That's interesting.
gives us a chance to move in,
Dude, the bar is so low.
Yeah.
Just send a quote back.
Yeah.
Like one of our
phone call.
one of our engineers in Utah tried to get a quote for some landscaping, and I think he talked to 5 different landscapers, and I think he got 1 quote back.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I hear that. Oh, you're the first and only one that answered me. That's
just
just
unreal.
a big deal. So, yeah, I hope some other people can learn from it because we've been in everybody's shoes that, just thinking we're the only ones going through this problem. And then you listen to podcasts like this and you realize that, you can be successful and that we have the same problems as everybody else. And, it's just positive to hear these stories.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm hoping it helps somebody.
Well, thanks again, guys.
No problem, Weston.
You guys are
Appreciate having
awesome.
us.
Thank you very
Keep
much.
crushing it.
Absolutely.
Have a fantastic 2024. And I can't wait for these stories to be rolling out on the social medias, tagging you guys.
I appreciate it, man. It's been great.
Awesome.